Hi Vicki. In this first video, we're going to look at your serves and your forehands. You see your flat serve here. We're going to look at your spin serve later and your forehands. One of the things you were working with the flat serve was to keep your stance. If you put both toes in that pinpoint stance close to the baseline, it opens the hips and allows you to reach further into the court. Now, also, your toss, we want that a little further into the court, like right there. So we're going to take a look at it in high speed in a moment, but we're working on keeping that stance, the pinpoint stance right here with the two toes up to the baseline, opens the hips, and also the toss well in front. Now here we see Vicki, your high-speed video of your serve from two different angles, and we'll see you bring both toes up to the baseline. The toss could be a little further in front. Now the two toes at the baseline opens up the hips, but keep in mind that reduces the spin rate on your serve. It does result in a flatter serve, but perhaps less consistency, and is the type of serve that like Venus Williams will use, but she will double fault. You will get a slightly bigger serve, but perhaps less consistency. Now, ideally, if we can put both toes together, as in a spin serve, a little bit more sideways rather than facing the baseline. We'll see that in a moment when we get to the spin serves. And that other stance you can use for a flat serve as well, too. Vicki, here we see your spin serve, and as you see right there, both toes were on the baseline there, so we're going to correct that in a moment. And you want your feet more parallel to the baseline rather than the toes facing the baseline right there. So that allows you to stay sideways a little longer. And I think I'm pointing it out right here, so you're going to stay sideways a little longer right there. That's beautiful. The toss will be a little closer to you and not far as in front. Now here we see a split screen, and we see your feet are more parallel to the baseline, which allows you to stay sideways. That allows you to also drive upwards with the back foot a little more to get what we call a shoulder over shoulder or hip over hip cartwheel action, where you're pushing up on the serve. And here, Vicki, is a high-speed slow motion from 2 different angles. You could add a little more spin. I think this was slightly flat, but you can see a little slice and top spin. Vicki, we were also working with the forehand, and here we see you taking a few forehands. We adjusted your backswing and your rotation a little. I felt the swing was a little too close to your body, a little too far back. As you mentioned, that might be from your old swing where your elbow comes all the way back, which elongates the backswing. So we want to keep that C and that racket in that vertical position with the elbow down. We'll see that in a moment. Vicki, here we see a split screen from in front as well as the side. We're working on that backswing to take the racket a little more vertical with the elbow down. But one of the things you'll see, the elbow is still a little close. Here we see the vertical position, the elbow a little away from the body. It could be a little further up. It still gets a little close, but I like the hip rotation. Perhaps a little too open stance there. One of the things we'll see is your stance is quite open. You could use a little more semi-open stance, which means the left foot will be a little more forward. That allows you to drive your weight forward into the ball. You can see here the right foot tends to get in front, so that's a very completely open stance. Great rotation there. The other thing is, we'll take one more look at the backswing right here. You're going to take a vertical position when your unit turn. There's a unit turn, the racket goes vertical. That's beautiful. The elbow could be a little further away from the body, and now it comes back in. We'll take a look at that open stance. We can compare it to Taylor Dent. Vicki, here you are compared with Taylor Dent on a serve and forehand point. His serve, he's a little more sideways than you, so he might get a heavier spin. Here's the forehand. He's going to use a semi-open stance, and he's going to drive off the back leg. He gets a little lower. He does lift off the front leg. As we'll see in a moment, Wozniacki does the same thing. But their stance is a little more closed than yours on the forehand. They do lift off that front leg because they're loading up very powerfully off the back leg, so to get a lot of rotation. We're talking about that on the backhand. But it's a technique you can use on a forehand. Not always a good thing, but often if you can step in. But try to close off that stance a little more. Okay, good job.